Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the FAA podcast. Great, as always, to have Logan here.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here, my man.
Had another not so fluky weekend in college. NFL comeback central in the NFL this weekend, but 2 weeks down, a lot more to go. Excited to see what happens tonight with the Monday night doubleheader as we move into Thursday's Week 3 kickoff AFC North matchup.
Yes, sir.
So we had 2 college games on Friday. I was disappointed in both because I lost both bets. But Florida State 35-31 over Louisville. Florida State 3-0. I don't have the year, but 3-0 for the first time in a while. I believe 15 or 16. Jimbo is still the head coach, coming off their national championship win in 2015. But yeah, I think Mike Norvell's finally got it going in the right direction. Maybe Florida State's a dark horse for the ACC this year.
Yeah, I got to watch the first half of this game, and once Jordan Travis went down, I was like, this is it. Turning it off. Louisville looked too good. I was a fool. I missed a gritty comeback. Hats off to Tate Rodemaker, the backup coming in, securing the dub, even without Jordan Travis, who looked really good. Like, I don't know what his injuries looked like, but Jordan Travis has looked really good to start this season. And he made some really good throws while he was in the game where I was like, okay, like, we should start talking about him as kind of a prospect because some of these throws he's making are NFL caliber.
Yeah, and I never understand defense, whether it be college or NFL level. If there is only one person beating you, how do you not take that person away? That's what Bill Belichick does best in his defense. He figures out who is going to beat you, who is the number one issue on the offense, and he takes that player away, makes you beat them with some other people. Louisville's defense, what were you doing? Like, Johnny Wilson was absolutely killing them all night long, and he had 8 or 9 inches on like all the Louisville corners. They didn't have anyone above 6 foot to cover him because Johnny Wilson's 6'7", and it was noticeably size difference when you saw I remember one of the corners on one of his 2 touchdowns. It was like a jump ball situation, and the one corner was like 5'11", and you're gonna lose that.
Just not gonna work. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what Louisville's defense was doing. No answer for Johnny Wilson. Really no answer for either ground game. Did the defenses have answers for? Because you can say Malik Cunningham was a force as always on the ground, 127, 2 touchdowns and 17 carries. And then, Jawar Jordan, he had 91 yards. When Louisville had injury issues at the running back position, their top 2 guys went out in this game, and Jordan ended up being the main guy for them, along with Travion Cooley, who scored twice. But yeah, Trayshawn Ward, Lawrence Toafili, also, they had another back too that did not score a touchdown. That's why he's not on here. But he did have like 90 yards, I think. And yeah, defensive player of the game, Yasir Abdullah, Louisville. 8 tackles, 3 solos, a half a sack, 2 tackles for loss, pass flexion, QB hurry, and a pick. Fill in the stat sheet, even in a losing effort.
Yeah.
Yaya had a nice night too. I will say that.
Yeah. The other guy I was bummed about who also went down for Florida State was Jared Verse. He left the game with an ankle injury. Really probably the biggest riser so far of college football in terms of draft positioning. You know, he had as hot of a start as you could have. Hopefully he comes back all right.
Yeah, and Florida State covered to the detriment of myself and many of my other friends, because many people I knew in the betting Twitter sphere had Louisville +3 or +2.5, lose by 1, which was great. But FSU cover -2.5 over 57. Other game on Friday. Yeah, remember when I said I was very excited that I got this at 15 and it ended up closing at 16.5. Air Force sucks, man.
Yep.
They couldn't stop the ground game at all for Wyoming. And the fact that they even came back and it was 14-10 Air Force, I was like, right at this point, they're not going to cover. So they might as well just lose outright. It's fine. Yeah, I was very disappointed in the offense from Zeke Daniels and who's the big Brad Roberts, the fullback there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't score any in the first half. It was 7-0. And then it was 10-0, 14-10, 17-14. But yeah, Peasley, Titus Swen was just crushing them all night. And yeah, it was a horrible game to watch.
Yeah. Yep. I saw you on the timeline tweeting through it.
Yeah, it was so bad, man. But I mean, I don't even know how John Lee Eldridge got 100 yards on the night. He did have a couple big runs in the second half. Zeke Daniels threw 2 touchdowns in the second half. But yeah, I was very high on Air Force. I do like Zeke Daniels. And like I said, Roberts, the fullback, he's a beast, but just nothing on offense. And like I said, the defense was highly outmatched. I mean, they showed the one graphic on CBS Sports where it was like the weights, the average weight of the Wyoming O-line to the Air Force D-line. And like the Wyoming O-line was averaging like 330, 334. And the Air Force D-line was like 265.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was very bad. Not much to talk about receiving wise. And defensively, I'm going to go with the nose tackle for Wyoming, Kel Godbout. I mean, that's crazy to get that many tackles in the nose, but when you're playing a triple option team, you're getting that fullback dive coming at you on either side every time. Yep. So, but yeah, 9 tackles, 4 of them solos, a tackle for loss, 2 QB hurries for Godbout. And great name, too.
Mm-hmm.
Wyoming plus 16.5, under 47 easily. Go Dogs. The Dogs in another route. Number 1, Georgia, 48-7 over South Carolina in Columbia. Yeah. Stetson is he's got to be in the Heisman right now. I mean,
yeah, he is. Yep.
The offense is just rolling. And I mean, obviously they haven't faced a legit defense as bad as this is to South Carolina's defense. But until they face and that's the thing, they don't face Alabama this year in the regular season. They don't face Texas A&M, Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see I don't think anyone can stop them at this point. There are too many weapons, and Stetson's so good at spreading the ball around.
Yep. Yeah, it's week 1, they impressed me right away with Oregon, because Oregon actually has decent defense. They got some dudes on there who definitely have the eye of some NFL scouts. And the fact that they just shredded them. I mean, right now in college football, it's Georgia and everybody else, to be honest. I mean, the defense is as good as it was yet last year so far. And the offense somehow looks better. And I give that up to, I forget who the OC is. The OC is Todd Monken, right?
Todd Monken, yep.
Todd Monken. His play designs have been outstanding. And not taking away anything from Stetson Bennett, because like you said, he's really good at identifying and spreading the ball around, but these guys are like wide open.
Yeah.
like there aren't defenders within like 3 or 4 yards of some guys at some time. So really good coaching, really great execution, and they're really kind of an unstoppable force so far.
Yeah. They just got announced their October 1st game in 2 weeks is a night game in Columbia, Missouri, where Mizzou plays. But yeah, Spencer Rattler threw 2 picks. One was pretty bad. One was like right to the guy. Malachi Starks. That's the man. I mean, true freshman, and this kid has 2 picks through 3 games. It's crazy.
Yeah. He's a beast.
But yeah, Carson Beck even came in and he threw a touchdown. And Brock Bowers should Brock Bowers be getting Heisman talk? I mean, he's scoring touchdown. I mean, he had 13 last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has 3 here. He had 2 in the Oregon game. I don't remember if he scored against Samford. I think he did. I think he has like 5 touchdowns already on the season. Mm-hmm. 5 or 6. So, I mean,
yeah, it's crazy, dude, because we're gonna get probably 3 generational tight end talents in the last like 4 drafts. So Kyle Pitts in 21. We had a gap year in 22 where there weren't that many great prospects. But now we got Michael Meyer eligible this year. And then next year, Bowers will be eligible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really kind of a golden age. And we know how having that elite tight end can just open things up for your offense. So, yeah.
One thing Georgia doesn't have right now is a running game. Stetson Bennett, leading rusher in this game, 3 carries, 36 yards, and a touchdown. Sneaky elusive Stetson is. He made 2 guys miss. Once on his touchdown run, the other one on an almost score on the sideline there. But yeah, Bowers 5 for 121, 2 touchdown receptions, and a 5-yard touchdown run. I was pissed that Georgia let up a touchdown. Our backups let up a touchdown in this game. We were trying to go for 3 straight games to open the season with no touchdowns allowed. Couldn't get it done. But the craziest thing was that the announcer said, it's exactly what happened last year. We went and didn't allow a defensive touchdown because obviously Clemson scored a touchdown, but it wasn't on our defense. And then we go to South Carolina the 3rd week. They let up the first touchdown against them. So yeah, it's feeling like 2021 all over again at this point. It's just deja vu. Everything is going the same way. So defensively, I'm gonna go with linebacker Tresman Marshall for the Dogs, 4 tackles, all of them solos, sack for loss, QB hurry, and a pick. I do have to say props to defensive back Nick Emenwari for the Gamecocks, though. 14 tackles as a DB, and all of them were solo tackles. So solid game for him as well.
So, yeah.
Dogs cover minus 25.5 over 55.5 by the hook. Number 4, Michigan, 59-0 over UConn. Yeah, as expected. JJ McCarthy didn't throw a touchdown. Michigan they had 7 different quarterbacks attempt at least one pass in this game. I didn't want to put them all on here because a lot of them were irrelevant statistically. Only put the guys that scored touchdowns or had, more than whatever. But yeah, I mean, as expected, Blake Corum, what a day. 12 carries, only 71 yards, but he scored 5 touchdowns. I don't know how he only had 71 yards and scoring 5 touchdowns because I didn't watch the game. But yeah, that was the story was Blake Corum and the Michigan running game. AJ Henning also for the Wolverines. He had a 61-yard punt return touchdown to go along with 4 catches, 37 yards. And my defensive player of the game is actually on the Huskies side, linebacker Brandon Boyer-Randall. 5 tackles, 3 solos, a sack, 2.5 tackles for loss. Michigan covered, minus 47.5. Over under 59 pushed, however. They needed the over bettors needed some help from UConn. They didn't get it. Number 6, Oklahoma, 49-14 over Nebraska in Lincoln. And I tried to tell people, I have no idea why someone would have thought that Nebraska was going to cover the spread of 11 or 11.5 in this game. Ended up at 10.5. It's still Nebraska, whether Scott Frost is there or not. They still don't have the talent to play against an Oklahoma team.
Yeah,
it was kind of crazy because they went down the field on the first drive and scored a touchdown, and then nothing after that until late. They scored the first touchdown of the game. They scored the last touchdown of the game.
Yeah, I think that minus 11 is based on the fact that the historical trend for Nebraska has been to keep games really close and lose them. But they haven't been doing that against the likes of Oklahoma. It's been the likes against the Big Ten West and North Dakota. So yeah, that was some easy money right there with that bet.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't bet it straight. I bet it in a parlay, so did not work out for me in that regard. But yeah, Dylan Gabriel was fantastic. 59.3%, 232 touchdowns, 6 carries, 55 yards, a touchdown as well. And Eric Gray, great game for him. 11 carries, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns, a reception for 4 yards. Marcus Major scored twice, 12 carries, 35 yards, a touchdown, and a 24-yard receiving touchdown. Trey Palmer, leading receiver on the day for Nebraska in the game, 10 catches, 92 yards, a touchdown, and a fumble. And then Braden Willis, tight end for Oklahoma, he actually had 2 catches, 19 yards. And I don't remember seeing this play, but he is on a stat sheet for a 24-yard touchdown pass. I believe that was the 24-yarder to Marcus Major there. And defensively, I'm going to go with linebacker Deshaun White for the Sooners. 6 tackles, 4 of them solos, sack, tackle for loss, and a pass deflection. Oklahoma cover minus 10.5, under 66.5. Easily. Not really. This close. Number 9, Kentucky, 31-0 shutout over Youngstown State. The Penguins had some issues in this one. And Will Levis, you kind of expect him to throw interceptions at this point. I mean, that's what Will Levis is. He's a gunslinger. But, great game for him. 27 of 35, 77.1%, 377, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a rushing touchdown. Look the part.
Yeah. Will Levis to me is is probably the most interesting NFL prospect right now, because there's a chance there's a real good chance he goes top 10, if the draft were to happen today. But like you said, he's also a gunslinger. So there's like that variable. Like, can you coach him to be a little bit more conservative, or is he always going to have that just kind of sling it around mentality? But definitely a fun guy to watch.
Kavase Smoke, your leading ball carrier in this game, 18 carries, 66 yards, a touchdown, a catch for 14 yards. Dane Key has really stepped up for Kentucky. I really didn't know who the receivers were because, I mean, really the only guy I knew from Kentucky receiving wise was Wandale Robinson last year. Obviously drafted with the Giants now, but yeah, Dane Key is a guy that's been having great performances for the Wildcats recently. 6 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Defensively, I'm going with Youngstown State, actually. Defensive end Dylan Woodkey for the Penguins. 6 tackles, 5 of them solos, a sack, 3.5 tackles for loss. Kentucky did cover minus 29, under 49.5 easily. Number 17, Baylor, 42-7 over Texas State. Blake Shapen not the greatest of games for Blake, but luckily for him, he had Richard Reese and Craig Williams in this game because Reese went crazy. 19 carries, 156 yards. That's 8.2 yards per carry. 3 touchdowns and a 17-yard reception. So, yeah, Baylor running game was the difference in this one when Shapen didn't have that great of a day.
Yeah, I was really high on Baylor to begin the season, but I think their quarterback play is definitely a weakness. And the Big 12 seems to be pretty competitive this year at the top, so it might be tough for them.
Yeah, also Texas State Bobcats, Ashton Hawkins, 13 receptions, 114 yards and a touchdown. Yes, that was most of Lane Hatcher's 186 yards on the day, which I didn't even know Lane Hatcher had transferred to Texas State. He's been a couple different places now. So started out Arkansas State. But defensively, I'm going to go with Baylor linebacker Brooks Miller. 5 tackles, 3 solos, a sack, 1.5 tackles for a loss. Miller's got to stick together, man. Baylor covered minus 30, under 53. Hit. Number 25, Oregon, 41-20 over number 12, BYU. I didn't get to watch this game, and I'm kind of happy. I did watch the beginning of it, but I'm kind of happy I didn't get to watch the rest of it because it was not good. I mean, when you look at Jaron Hall's stat line, though, it doesn't look that bad, right? 70.7%, 305, 2 touchdowns, 8 carries, 19 yards. So it's not terrible. And I think the biggest thing, though, if you take away Bo Nix's rushing, then I think, it's a close game, right? Bo Nix, 72.2%, 222, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But the issue for BYU was 9 carries, 35 yards, and he scored 3 rushing touchdowns. That's the biggest issue for BYU defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was just a case of where kind of talent recruiting did kind of win out. Great game for Oregon, kind of good get back game for them. Jaron Hall, man, just continues to impress me though. In terms of his abilities, in terms of the numbers that he's putting up. This is definitely going to be one of those games that scouts are watching and dissecting, trying to determine his scouting profile as the year progresses.
Yeah, no running game for BYU. Big issue for their offense. Christopher Brooks was the leading ball carrier, 10 carries, 28 yards, touchdown, 2 receptions, 23 yards. Markeith Irving, however, for the Ducks, 14 carries, 97 yards for him. Troy Franklin, 3 catches, 84 yards. And who else would lead the BYU in receiving? Then my guy Chase Roberts, 4 catches, 60 yards. Once again, BYU out, not having Puka Nacua nor Gunnar Romney for this game. I'm not gonna say it caught up to them finally, but obviously against the higher level quality team, which I'm assuming Oregon is higher quality than Baylor. But yeah, I don't know. Anyways, Terrence Ferguson, he scored both of his receptions for the Ducks, 2 catches, 24 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then defensively, I'm going to go with Oregon defensive end Brandon Dorless, 7 tackles, 2 solos, a half sack, and 1.5 tackles for loss. My guy Max Tooley, though, he led the game in tackles. I love Max Tooley, man. Just because he has a great name, but he's also good ball player. Oregon cover -3.5 over 58. Number 20, Ole Miss, 42-0 shutout of Georgia Tech. Yeah, Jackson Dart didn't score in this game, which was interesting. But again, it's a case of running game was just completely dominant for the Rebels. Zach Evans, Quinshon Judkins, Ulysses Bentley, all having crazy good games. Evans, 18 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. Quinshon Judkins, 19 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. And, of course, Ulysses Bentley, 8 carries, 27 yards, 2 touchdowns. The 6 rushing touchdowns on the day for Ole Miss. That was how they got it done.
Yeah, dude, Zach Evans, one of those guys that dynasty fantasy players are licking their chops over. Be advised, if you have not been trying to collect 2023 draft picks, start now. It's probably too late, but, try to get over on some unsuspecting league mates because this is going to be a historic RB class.
Good. I need them. My RBs are not very good, and at least one of my dynasty leagues. Banking on some rookies this year already. But yeah, Jackson Dart though. Haven't seen it yet.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it last week, but it's
and it's interesting because he did play pretty well his freshman year, filling in for Keaton Slovis. I think this just boils down to, and I think we've mentioned this on a previous show, I think it's just him and Lane Kiffin getting on the same page, him getting used to this offense. I think this is a building year. I don't expect them to be very competitive in the SEC, but I do think that it's going to grow, and you're going to see some progression over the back end of this year and going into next year.
Defensively, I'm going to go with the top guy there, linebacker Ayindi Ely. I don't even know if I'm saying that one right. I usually can pronounce names pretty well, but Ayindi Ely for Georgia Tech, 12 tackles, 6 solos, a sack, 3 tackles for loss. Ole Miss cover -17, under 62.5 hit. Of course, someone had the over. And I was very excited about the over. And then Georgia Tech didn't score any points. So, yeah. Number 22, Penn State. 41-12 over Auburn. This one was in Auburn. Yeah, Penn State is looking very, very good. They jumped into the top 15 in the rankings this week. I'm very excited. I already said Nicholas Singleton, man. He is him. 10 carries, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's it. That's all I gotta say about this game.
Yeah.
Kayvon Allen, the other freshman. 9 carries, 52 yards. He scored twice.
Yeah. Yep. This game, as a Badger fan, I do have a somewhat particular disdain for the Nittany Lions, but this warms my heart, dude. Seeing a Big Ten team absolutely house an SEC team, quiet those SEC chants. Love to see it.
Brenton Strange, leading receiver in this game. Tight end for Penn State, 6 carries, 80 yards. Both Auburn quarterbacks threw the exact same amounts. They threw for about the same amount of yards, and the only difference was that Robbie Ashford was the only one that scored. They combined for 3 turnovers, Finley with 2, a pick and a fumble, and Ashford with a pick. Penn State's defense looked like vintage Penn State defense. And defensively, I'm going to go with defensive end Adisa Isaac for the Nittany Lions there. 3 tackles, all of them solos, a sack, 3 tackles for loss, 2 QB hurries. Jair Brown, also a very good game. One of the safeties looking at next year's draft. Penn State covered -2.5, over 47.5. Number 2, Alabama, 63-7 over UM Monroe. Bryce Young threw another couple interceptions in this game. Did total 4 touchdowns, however. But yeah, it was, even though it was, 56-point win, still, 2 picks. Probably made Saban a little pissed off, I would have to think. Just knowing how Kirby thinks. I saw Kirby's comments after the 33-0 shutout of Stanford, and he was still pissed off that they didn't score more because the red zone offense wasn't very good that game. And I would assume Saban would say something along those lines about the 2 interceptions that Bryce Young threw. Running game was great all day for Bama. And yeah, another one, early season as expected, kind of blowout.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Not much to say except that, to be expected. Another beat up cupcake team before you enter SEC play. Not sweating Bryce Young a whole lot in terms of the 2 interception things. For me, he's still my QB1 in this class. I don't really care about the size a whole lot. I think he's got enough size to get by, and I just really like the talent there. Another one of those 2023 guys, though, at the running back position to keep your eye on, Jahmyr Gibbs. I wish they gave him the rock more. You see right there those stats. He's most effective in the passing attack, but 9 average yards per carry, and he only has 4 carries. Billy O'Brien there has to be doing a little better job there.
Leading receiver in this game, Trayshawn Holden for the Tide. 3 catches, 60 yards, a touchdown. And shout out to there was a bunch of special touchdowns in this game. Defensive back Brian Branch for Bama, 5 tackles, 3 solos, a sack, tackle for loss, pass deflection. He had a 68-yard punt return touchdown, just casually. Linebacker Will Anderson Jr., 5 tackles, 2 solos, a sack, 1.5 tackles for loss, 25-yard pick 6. And then defensive back Malachi Moore, 4 tackles, 2 solos, a half a sack, half a tackle for loss, and a 3-yard blocked punt return for a touchdown. Yeah, Bama didn't score them all on offense. This is true. Bama did cover. They did cover -49.5. They got that one. And over 61.5 got it by themselves. Number 19, Wake Forest, 37-36 over Liberty. This is a close one. I was shocked. This one was at home for Wake. But Sam Hartman threw 2 picks. So I don't know if that was the difference. I mean, Caden Salter had 3 turnovers and Jonathan Bennett had a turnover too. So I can't believe that Wake lost the turnover battle, but I don't know where it got close. Just like Sam Hartman, 59.1%, 325, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, 8 carries, 11 yards. Yeah. I wish I would have watched this game, but
see, Liberty is one of those teams where, like, I just don't understand why you would want to schedule them like non-conference. Like, they're just kind of scrappy. I know they don't have Malik anymore, but like they've still had quite a bit of success the last 2 years. There's a bunch of different teams you could schedule where there's less of a risk of getting upset. But Wake hangs on. Don't know how competitive they'll be in the ACC, considering how some other teams have looked, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm just like scrambling right now, trying to figure out this fantasy situation. Gabriel Davis is out apparently, so and there's not many other players to pick up, and I can't I don't know. NFL.com doesn't allow you to put players on your IR, and they're just out. So
yeah, I hate that.
I can't. So I can't. I'm gonna have to leave that spot open.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's fine. Whatever. Had to take it off. But yeah, Day Hunter. You know where he came from? Transfer. Hawaii. Transfer Hawaii. 17 carries, 89 yards, touchdown, 5 catches, 21 yards. That was the biggest issue. Just like BYU, Wake had a 0 running game. Sam Hartman was your leading rusher for Wake. The only reason I put Christian Turner on there was because he was the leading non-quarterback rushing the ball, 7 carries for 5 yards. And then Justice Ellison was a yard behind him, but he at least scored a touchdown. Keyshawn Williams, great day for him and Demon Deacons, 5 catches, 129. And then wide receiver Demario Douglas for Liberty, 7 catches, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jamal Banks scored twice for the Demon Deacons as well. Demario Douglas is a guy that I think could go in the day 3 next year, potentially. Defensively, a lot of good performances. I'm going to go with the guy on the bottom, though, linebacker Ahmad Walker for Liberty, 6 tackles, 2 solos, 2 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss. Malik Mustafa had a great game for Wake, though. Liberty plus 17.5, easily over 64. Hit. Number 3, Ohio State, very small print. A lot of scoring here. 77-21, just absolutely annihilating Toledo. CJ Stroud, he did pretty well in this one. 81.5%, 367, 5 touchdowns, no turnovers. McCord threw a touchdown as well for OSU. And Daquan Finn, actually, pretty good day for him, even by getting annihilated, but 3 touchdowns for him, only the 1 turnover. Dalen Hayden, who I had never heard of until this game for Ohio State, 17 carries, 108 yards and a touchdown, apparently. Got a lot more carries than Travion Henderson in this game, but Henderson did score again. Tight end Mitch Rossi had a 1-yard touchdown run, the tight end for Ohio State. And then receiving wise, another 3 100-yard receiving day for the OSU receivers. Emeka Egbuka, 7 for 116, a touchdown. Also had a 3-yard touchdown run. Jaden Ballard, 4 catches, 113 yards, a touchdown. And then, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., 6 catches, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Julian Fleming also scored twice. So,
yeah. I think the scariest thing about Ohio State is they've been able to find the success largely without Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm anxious to see. I haven't been able to look this up yet. Is what his snap count was for this game. My assumption is that he's still kind of hobbled with that injury he suffered week 1, and that's why he's been very quiet to start the season. But when you're Ohio State and you got guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Amigo Buga, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Also, Thomas Zeros for Toledo. I loved when I wrote that down. I was like, bro, that's a great last name. 1 catch, a 50-yard touchdown there. Defensively, I'm going Ohio State defensive end Javonte Jean-Baptiste, 3 tackles, 2 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. I forget the first name of the guy. Stanley, Jean Baptiste. I wonder if he's related. Ohio State covered -31 over 63 by themselves. Even smaller print in this game. Number 8 Oklahoma State 63-7. I gotta get my readers on for this one. But yeah, Spencer Sanders, great once again over Arkansas Pine Bluff. 13 of 16, 81.3%, 242, 4 touchdowns. The coach's son got a lot of work in this game as well. Gunnar Gundy. 128, 2 touchdowns, a pick, 6 carries, 42 yards for Gundy in this one. Yeah, Ollie Gordon was your leading rusher on the day. 3 carries, 65 yards and a touchdown for Oklahoma State. And Braden Johnson, leading receiver for the game. Oklahoma State, 4 catches, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then that's why there's so many people on this list, because there weren't many people that scored multiple touchdowns. It was like all these guys that scored 1 touchdown. And then, you have like Kenji Lewis was the leading receiver for UA Pine Bluff. So 1 catch, 25 yards there. And yeah, defensively, I am going with Oklahoma State defensive end Ben Kopensky, 4 tackles, 3 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 QB hurries. But you also had defensive end Trace Ford for the Cowboys, 1 pass deflection, a QB hurry, and a 15-yard blocked punt return for a touchdown. And then corner Corey Black had a 38-yard blocked field goal return for a touchdown. I don't know how it was only 38 yards, but that's what the stats told me. So, yeah, all around, pretty solid game for Oklahoma State. The Cowboys, they covered, mind you, the biggest spread of the weekend. -54.5 they covered, winning by 56.
Wow. That's so disrespectful to Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Over 64.5. Thank you to Arkansas Pine Bluff for scoring that touchdown to get it over. Number 10, Arkansas, 38-27 over Missouri State. And what did I tell you? I told you Missouri State was going to make it a game. And they were up 17-0. They had it. Like they were rolling. Bobby Petrino was saying, F you, Arkansas. Yeah, they had it going. Arkansas tied it at 17. But then Missouri State went back up 27-17. 21 unanswered by Arkansas to end the game and give the Hogs the win. But I told y'all they were going to cover at the 3 words.
Yeah, you told me that. I wasn't sweating it, and then I was watching the slate of games, and they had like the the game updates or whatever, and it was the highlight of them going up 17-0. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. But yeah, Raheem Sanders, I mean, he has been just completely dominating games for Arkansas. 22 carries, 167, touchdown. He did fumble it, but he also had 2 catches, 75 yards and a touchdown. I mean, of course, KJ was great again, 61.3%, 385, 2 touchdowns, a pick, 9 carries, 40 yards, touchdown, and a fumble. So that's probably why Missouri State was, got off that great start. Arkansas turned the ball over a bunch. You can see 3 turnovers just right there from KJ and Raheem. Jason Shelley, though, the Utah State transfer, or not, was it Utah State? I believe so. Yeah, he had a great game as well. 55.8%, 357, a touchdown, 17 carries, 14 yards, and a touchdown as well. former Georgia guy. This is his second year at Arkansas, though. Matt Landers, 7 catches, 123. Great. Or not his second year, his first year at Arkansas. He was at Central Michigan this year. Jordan Hazelwood also 5 catches, 86 yards, touchdown. And a lot of great defensive performances here. Got to shout out wide receiver Bryce Stevens for Arkansas, 82-yard punt return touchdown. I think defensively, I'm going to go with the top guy, though. Linebacker Drew Sanders has been having a great year so far for the Hogs. 12 tackles, 5 solos, 2.5 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss, and a pass deflection. Possible draft guy there as well, Zach Williams, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like I said, Missouri State cover plus 26 over 59.5. Number 15, Tennessee, 63-6 over Akron. Hendon Hooker, great game, 77.8%, 298, 2 touchdowns, 2 carries, 24 yards. DJ Irons actually played pretty well, despite not scoring a touchdown, but 72.7%, 241. Joe Milton came in and he threw 2 touchdowns, 4 of 5, 112, and 2 touchdowns. And then their third quarterback, Taven Jackson, also rushed for a touchdown. Did have 2 for 2, 28 yards on top of that. Jalen Wright, Dylan Sampson, both scoring twice on the ground for the Vols. 23 carries, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns for Wright. 8 carries, 57 yards, 2 touchdowns for Sampson. And, Jalen Hyatt, great game for him. 5 catches, 166, 2 touchdowns. And then the other 100-yard receiver in this one, Shockey Jock Luis for Akron, 9 catches, 103 yards. So Shockey playing for the Zips. Great time.
Unreal. That's it. That's a top tier name right there.
SJL, man.
Yep.
And defensively, I'm going to go with linebacker Elijah Herring for Tennessee. 3 tackles, 2 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. I wonder if he is Malik Herring's brother. Not sure. No clue, but just wondering. Tennessee covered minus 47.5 and over 67 thanks to Akron's field goals. Number 16, NC State, 27-14 over Texas Tech. Yeah, Donovan Smith threw 2 picks, and Baron Morton threw another pick. So that was probably the difference in the game because Devin Leary did nothing. 65.2%, 121. That's all.
Yeah.
Terrible QBR.
Yeah, the Devin Leary hype needs to quiet down a little now.
Oh, thank you. Luckily, in my my dynasty league that I run, I have had Robert Woods on the bench, so I can just flip him in for Gabe Davis. So that's
there you
good.
Go.
It's good news on that front. But yeah, Demi Sumo Karnbay, 2 touchdowns here for him, 14 carries, 54 yards, 1 touchdown, a fumble. And he had 4 catches for 93 yards and a touchdown. Took most of Devin Leary's yards there. So I really don't know what he did with the other. Well, it's not even. I don't even know where the other yards came from because Thayer Thomas had 4 catches for 30 yards. Oh, that's why. Because Thayer Thomas threw him a 38-yard touchdown. That's why. Yeah. So, anyways, most of the yards there from Devin going to the running back. A lot of great defensive performances in this one. I have to go with the defensive touchdown though. Corner Aiden White for NC State, 5 tackles, 3 solos, a sack, tackle for loss, 2 picks, one of them being an 84-yard pick 6. Can't not say about Tyree Wilson though for Texas Tech. Also very good game, and he's had a good season for the Texas Tech games we've had. I believe he's been on the board for all of them. NC State covered minus 10.5, under 55.5. Washington, 39-28 over number 11, Michigan State, upset city. Yeah, I mean, we all picked the Spartans.
Yeah, we got to eat crow, dude. We were kind of hating on the Huskies a little bit there. And look, just
Michael Penix
credit where credit's due, man. Michael Penix Jr., heck of a game.
Yeah, all that Penix did was go 60%, 397 and 4 touchdowns, no turnover.
Yeah. It literally doesn't get much better than that. And my beef is I hate when they do this. The AP poll came out. Washington's ranked, but they're still behind Michigan State. Makes no sense to me.
The Michigan State's unranked now.
Really?
They dropped Michigan State all the way.
They dropped it? I don't know what rankings I was looking at then.
Maybe the coaches.
Yeah, one of the rankings had Michigan State still ranked and like 3 spots ahead of the Huskies. And I was like, I don't know how that works.
No, yeah, they pulled up Washington to 18, and Michigan State was the only team to fall out of the rankings. 11 to, but the AP poll did that twice already. Now they dropped. Who was it that lost earlier? And they kicked them all the way out of the rankings. Oh, was it Notre Dame? Yeah, Notre Dame. They dropped all the way from 8 down to nothing this past weekend. But yeah, Peyton Thorne though, he really did. He did his job. I mean, 71.4%, 323, 3 touchdowns. Did have an interception, but I don't think that was enough to really just kill the whole night. The issue was, again, we've been talking about a couple teams. Michigan State couldn't run it after they had effectively been running it their first 2 games with Berger and Broussard. Jalen Berger was your leading rusher in this game for Sparty. 13 carries, 27 yards, 3 catches, 38 yards.
Yeah. And I mean that the running game has to be humming for that offense to work. But I'll be honest, I think the big thing is the Sparty defense. I don't know how you don't plan for Michael Penix to air it out on you like that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's plenty of film on Penix from his, Indiana days. So,
yeah, they're familiar with his work. That's for sure.
Yeah. 200-yard performances receiving wise in this one. Jalen Polk for Washington, 6 catches, 153 yards, 3 touchdowns that man scored. And then wide receiver Keon Coleman from Michigan State, 9 catches, 116 yards, 2 scores for him. Wasn't much defensively, so I'm going to go with Washington safety Julian Irvin. 2 tackles, both of them solos, the pass deflection and a pick. Washington cover minus 3.5, over 56.5. Number 18, Florida, 31-28 over USF. And I mean, like, what even is Florida? Like, it's not very good. Look, where we were saying on Friday, bro, Florida's gonna kill USF. Anthony Richardson sucks.
Yeah. Look,
it's
when we talked about him, he was another guy. He's getting top 10 looks. And I had said, I think he's a guy that I think is just going to be, I think he just benefits from staying in school another year next year. He needs to put more on tape and he needs to show more consistency. But none of this makes sense, man, after that week 1 really good win against a really good Utah team. Since then, they've kind of been off the rails a little bit. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and he's just been inaccurate. 55.6% is not terrible, but it's well below the minimum that you're looking of 60%. And to only throw for 112 yards is very poor. And obviously 2 picks, no touchdowns. And I think the biggest thing for him, like only 7 times he ran the ball for only 24 yards. So that was the biggest thing in the Utah game. He ran all over the Utah defense, but he didn't really run against Kentucky. And he didn't really run in this game either. They did get the win, however. Luckily, they got the win because of their running game. But, I mean, Jerry Bohannon didn't play much better. He also threw 2 picks, but in his case, he ran very effectively. 15 carries, 102 yards, and a touchdown for Bohannon, the Baylor transfer. And they also got very big help from Brian Batty. 17 carries, 150, 8.8 yards per carry, a touchdown, 2 catches for 7 yards. And even bigger yards per carry, crazy for Montreal Johnson Jr. for the Gators. 6 carries, 103 yards. That's 17.2 per carry and a touchdown. Trevor Etienne scored a touchdown. Naquan Wright scored. And Xavier Weaver was their leading receiver in the game for USF. 8 catches, 82 yards, and a fumble. Defensively, gonna go with the defensive touchdown guy, corner Jalen Kimber for the Gators. 3 tackles, a solo, pass deflection, 39-yard pick 6. USF easily covered, plus 23.5 and over 58 by 1. Number 23, Pitt, 34-13 over Western Michigan. So neither Keaton Slovis nor Nick Patty played in this game. It was Nate Yarnell, the freshman, getting the start. I believe he's freshman. They didn't ask him to do much. Only threw it 12 times, 9 of 12, 75%, 179, a touchdown. It's pretty impressive to get 179 yards off of 9 completions, though. I will say that. Jack Salopek was terrible for Western Michigan. 6 of 18, 99 yards, and 3 picks. Again, though, I think 99 yards is pretty good for 6 completions. But it was Israel Abonaconda. I said that, I believe, on Friday that they got to run it through Abonaconda till Slovis can get back. And that's exactly what they did. They gave him the Derrick Henry treatment. 31 carries, 133 yards, 4.3 average, and a touchdown. 1 catch for -5 yards, but that's irrelevant.
Yeah, he's so good, dude. In the Pitt games that I've been able to watch, like, he's just a special back. He just has that kind of feel where, like, the ball in his hands, you're like, okay, there's a chance he does something with it every time that he hits the ball.
Yeah, and we know, Pitt backs historically been very successful. And James Conner really the most recent example of that, but had other guys throughout their history. Jared Wayne has been a guy that has filled that number 1 receiver role left by Jordan Addison nicely, I think. 3 catches for 94 yards in this game. Anthony Sambucci for Western Michigan, leading receiver for them, 1 catch, 44 yards. He also threw a 31-yard touchdown to AJ Abbott for Western Michigan. Kanata Mumfield, he scored a touchdown for Pitt. And defensively, I am going to go with Western Michigan linebacker Ryan Selig. 8 tackles, 3 solos, a sack, 2 tackles for loss. The only reason I didn't go with Pitt defensive back Marquise Williams because he didn't have any of the other stats other than his 22-yard pick 6. Pick cover -10 over 46. by 1. Maryland. See, and I wish I would have been able to watch this game, but I was at the Brewers game. What a game it was, though. Maryland 34-27 over SMU. Mordecai was fantastic. 53.7%, 369, 3 touchdowns, 3 turnovers, though, for Tanner Mordecai, 2 picks and a fumble. Toledo did not turn the ball over, 73.9%, 214, 2 touchdowns, 13 carries, 51 yards there. And got some help from the ball carriers here. Roman Hemby, 16 carries, 151 yards, touchdown, 4 catches for 62 yards as well. I like Talia. Talia's a sleeper next year in the draft.
Yes, sir.
But how about Rashee Rice, man? SMU wide receiver, 11 receptions, 193 yards in this game.
Yeah. Can't do much better than that.
Another guy I like. Get him in the 5th round next year, y'all. I'll be there.
Yeah, SMU's quietly been putting some dudes in the league here.
Danny Gray.
Not Danny Gray. Reggie Roberson, right? Also got drafted.
Did he get drafted or he got undrafted? I don't remember, but defensively, I'm going to go with SMU defensive tackle Elijah Chapman. 4 tackles, 2 solos, 1.5 sacks, 1.5 tackles for loss. Maryland cover -3. And I try to tell you, under 73.5 hit quite easily. 61 scored in this game. Number 5, Clemson, 48-20 over Louisiana Tech. And again, is like, was Clemson? Yeah, they won by 28. Great. But like, you're 33.5 point favorites. So, however, DJ did play pretty well in this game. 221, 58.6%, 2 touchdowns, 9 carries, 62 yards. Parker McNeil for Louisiana Tech, also 54.8%, 311, 1 touchdown. Did throw 2 interceptions, which was to the Bulldogs' detriment here. Will Shipley was great, 12 carries, 139, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches, 14 yards as well. And then Maffa and Pace both scoring for Clemson. So, yeah, I'm not sold still.
Yeah. Yep. And I think, one of the storylines that isn't getting talked about enough is that the playmaking options for the Tigers have been kind of lackluster as of late. Kind of known for also putting some dudes in the league at the wide receiver position. That has not been the case this past year, and they're still looking for some guys to kind of contribute more. That may have played a factor in, DJ Uiagalelei's, performance thus far. Or, conversely, it could be bad quarterback play. You just don't know, but just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, 100-yard game in this one. Tight end Griffin Hebert for Louisiana Tech, 5 catches, 122. And defensively, I'm going to go with defensive end Miles Murphy for Clemson. 3 tackles, all of them solos, a sack, 2 tackles for loss. Tyler Grubbs, though, for Louisiana Tech, also very good. 15 tackles, 10 solos, and a pass deflection. Louisiana Tech plus 33.5, covered over 53.5. Number 21, Texas over UTSA, 41-20. Hudson Cards started in this one. Not that impressive, but it's okay. It's okay because he has a Heisman contender behind him. Bijan went crazy in this one. 20 carries, 183 yards, 9.2 per carry, 3 scores on the ground, 1 catch for 19 yards as well. Yeah, and I have to watch the film from these games for Texas yet, but I watched the Oklahoma game from last year, and I just off that I graded him as a third round back. People have him in like the top 15, which is crazy, but
Yeah. I mean, I'm very high on Bijan. There's really not anything he can't do that you need him to do at the running back position. Now, the only thing that I haven't been able to see is kind of how he holds up in pass pro, which obviously we know that is a huge thing for NFL evaluators to determine how high you go. But in terms of actually being able to do something with the ball, I mean, he's as good as you get. He's got power, he's got speed, he's got size, he's got hands. I mean, his ability in the pass catching game is awesome. He's probably as close to a generational back as we've had since Saquon. I don't think he's that level of player, at least not yet. But, you know, in terms of the last 2 or 3-ish draft classes that we've had, he's definitely a top guy.
Yeah, that was one of the X's for me was pass pro. It wasn't very pretty the couple of times he did it against Oklahoma last year. Not setting up, and he was just like shouldering guys. It's not good. But I want to shout out to Brendan Brady had a very good game here for the Roadrunners. 21 carries, 70 yards, touchdown, 2 catches, 15 yards. He also threw a 35-yard touchdown. So great game for Brendan Brady there. Zachary Franklin, leading receiver. Love me some Zachary Franklin. 6 catches, 84 yards, a touchdown. And then defensively, I'm going to go with defensive back Jahdae Barron for Texas. 6 tackles, 3 solos, and a 44-yard pick 6. Texas cover minus 13.5, over 57. Oregon State absolutely annihilated Montana State. RIP Bobcats. 68-28. I mean, Chance Nolan, it really does not get much better. 76%, 276, 4 touchdowns, 4 carries, 25 yards, a touchdown. And yeah, that was it. That was Tommy Mellott threw 3 picks. Did have a good running game, 18 carries, 135 for him. There's a lot left to be wanted from Mellott's passing game. But
the Beavers, man, team of destiny. You're 2022 Pac-12 champs, dude.
We'll see. We will see. How about quarterback Sean Chambers from Montana State? He is their running quarterback, like Mellott used to be. Mellott used to be the running quarterback that would come in and just run the ball. But yeah, 9 carries, 35 yards, 3 touchdowns for Chambers in this one. And then Oregon State wide receiver Anthony Gold, 5 catches, 77 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an 80-yard punt return touchdown. And then wide receiver Trayshawn Harrison for the Beavers as well, 8 catches, 133 yards, a touchdown. And you also had Montana State wide receiver Marquis Johnson, 98-yard kick return touchdown there. Defensively, I'm going to go with, I don't know, pick which one you want. Defensive back Jaden Wright or Rajon Wright. Or Jaden Grant, Rajon Wright. They had the same exact line. 4 tackles.
They both get it.
A half tackle for loss and a pick.
They're co-captains.
I'd probably go with Rajon just because he has a cooler name. Oregon State cover minus 17.5, over 56.5 by themselves. Number 24, Texas A&M getting it done, rebounding 17-9 over number 13, Miami. Yeah, Max Johnson did not provide the type of spark I thought he was going to. but it's okay because they have Devin Achane, 18 carries, 88 yards, 4 catches, 42 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah, I have like $5 on Van Dyke to win the Heisman. That's not going to happen because he's playing like crap. 51.2%, 217, 5 carries, 14 yards.
Yeah. So I got to watch half of this game, and I wouldn't attribute this loss to Van Dyke. To me, it was kind of more uber conservative play calling from Cristobal, which almost did pay off because they were able to kind of keep it close. But at some point, you kind of have to make a decision to say, hey, look, clock's not on our side. We need 2 scores. We got to go for it here. But I will say that to me, Van Dyke has not lived up to this kind of NFL talent that he's kind of been billed to be. There were a number of plays where he could have made, a good throw, put a good throw on tape, and he just missed them. A lot of throws that he just flat out missed, and it hurt them. It hurt them in moving the ball down the field. So I think he's got quite a lot more to show if he's going to be that kind of highly billed draft prospect that he's kind of been up to this point.
How much do you think he missed Xavier Restrepo in this game?
It was evident. I mean, you just saw it on his face. You saw it basically in the whole offense. So
that was a good time when I texted you right after the show on Friday, and I'm like, I just heard this on ESPN. No Xavier Restrepo for that game on Saturday night.
Yep, I wanted to be able to change my my pick.
Defensively, linebacker Edgerrin Cooper for Texas A&M, 5 tackles, 3 solos, a half tackle for loss, 2 pass deflections, and a QB hurry. A&M cover -6.5, under 45 easily. Number 14, Utah, 35-7 over San Diego State. Told you all they would cover. They didn't route them like I thought they would, but 28 is a cover. So Cameron Rising, pretty decent, 60%, 224, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. The quarterback play for San Diego State was non-existent, really. Kyle Crum, Braxton Burmeister, both absolutely terrible. Yeah, Tavion Thomas led the way rushing, 16 carries, 59 yards, touchdown, 1 catch for 3 yards. And of course, Brant Keithy, excellent tight end, 5 catches, 64 yards, a touchdown. Devon Vele scored twice, 2 receiving touchdowns for the Utes as well. Defensively, I'm going to go with Utah linebacker Kareem Reed, 4 tackles, a solo, half sack, 1.5 tackles for loss, and a pick. Utah rebounding. They're 2 good wins now in a row. Going into Pac-12 play. Utah covered, like I said, -22.5, under 48.5. Number 7, USC routing Fresno State 45-17. Is there anyone that can stop USC right now? I mean, they haven't played top competition, right? Also, one asterisk on this game. Jake Haener got hurt in this game. I think it would have been a lot closer had Haener continued to play, because it's not very pretty, but 55.6%, 117, a touchdown, did turn it over twice. I don't know exactly because I wasn't able to watch the game, but I'm assuming that fumble was on the play he got hurt because it was a leg injury. So I'm assuming he got rolled up on and the pain made him fumble the ball. But yeah, I mean, Caleb Williams, once again, 67.6%, 284, 2 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. He was helped out by the running game for once. Austin Jones and Travis Dye, both over 100 yards, 12 carries, 110, touchdown, 2 catches, 16 yards for Jones. And Dye had 11 carries, 102 yards, touchdown, 3 catches, 36 yards. And of course, Jordan Addison scored another touchdown. What's new? The man scored
Yeah.
at least.
I think besides Georgia, you could make the case that USC has been the hottest team in college football. But like you said, that has come not through a lot of adversity. They haven't really faced anybody yet that's going to come up in Pac-12 play. I don't think the Trojans are yet going to be that team to go undefeated and make a, CFP berth. But I mean, as of right now, they are for sure deservedly a top 10 team. And yeah, and like I said, until proven otherwise, betting on Caleb Williams and the Jordan Addison connection is probably a good idea.
Yeah, and it opens it up now for, we don't know obviously how it's going to shake out, but it opens it up with the doing away with the divisions in the Pac-12 now. It opens it up for a potential, USC, Utah, or, USC, Oregon. I don't remember who was in what division, but it was always North and South. So I'm assuming Oregon was in the North. Utah was in the South, I believe, because it was Oregon, Utah last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But defensively, I'm going to go with, how about defensive back Max Williams? Playing both ways. 3 tackles, 3 solos, 6 catches, 77 yards on offense. Yeah. There are guys.
Dual threat.
That still play both ways. USC cover -12. Under 71.5 hit. Again, the rare, I think it's very rare. If you get a total that is 70 plus, just play the under, because more often than not, it's not going to hit. Yeah, it ended up 62, but still less than 71.5.
Yep.
Arizona, I'm going to call this an upset. They upset North Dakota State 31-28 because they were the underdogs in terms of spread. Jaden DeLora actually played pretty well. 71.4%, 229 touchdown, 10 carries, 50 yards, and a touchdown on the ground as well. Cam Miller turned it over once, but he scored twice, once through the air, once on the ground. And I told you, my boy Hunter Luepke, man, classified as the fullback, but he technically plays running back. 18 carries, 115 yards. He scored 2 touchdowns on the ground, and he had 3 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown through the air. I don't really know where Arizona won this game other than if it was on the arm of Jaden DeLora.
Yeah, pretty impressive win. I think we all picked NDSU because they're good enough to be an FBS team, and Arizona at times is not. So, but a good win for them. 2-1 on the season is a good start. So,
yeah, definitely. Defensively, I'm going to go with defensive lineman Hunter Echols for Arizona. 8 tackles, 4 solos, a sack, 2 tackles for loss. Arizona +3. They covered over 49. FCS game of the week, number 9, Delaware crushing number 17, Rhode Island at URI, 42-21. Nolan Henderson. He's in his senior year, man, and he's looking like a senior. 85.3% completion, 379, 4 touchdowns, 7 carries, 27 yards. Quincy Watson, running back for the Hens, 9 carries, 68 yards. And yeah, Jordan Townsend, receiver for Delaware, 7 catches, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns. Katero Summers for Rhode Island, 5 catches, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns as well. And then Kyron Cumby for Delaware, 2 catches, 10 yards. But he had 8 carries, 77 yards, and a touchdown as a wide receiver as well. And FCS, we don't have defensive stats. The ESPN doesn't put defensive stats on there, except for interceptions. So shout out the defensive back, Kedrick Whitehead, for the Blue Hens. He had an interception off of Kasim Hill. And I was just trying to see what Rhode Island is called. I don't know what their mascot is. The Rams.
I think so, or like the Tar Heels or something.
Rhode Island Rams. I thought it was. But yeah, good win for Delaware. I haven't seen the new FCS poll to see if they moved up, because I'm interested to see what they did with the FCS poll this week. With North Dakota State losing, Montana State losing. And here it is, actually. Delaware did move up 1. They're up to 8. So North Dakota State didn't move. Montana State did, however. Or no, they didn't. Never mind. But Montana, though. Montana took over the number 2 spot from South Dakota State. Just flipping spots there. NFL Patriots getting the win in Pittsburgh, 17-14 over the Steelers. Yeah. It's Kenny Pickett time. He's not going to start. It's a short week going to Cleveland on Thursday, so obviously not going to start this week, but why not week 4 when you have a big time frame to work on? I mean, especially if they lose in Cleveland and the offense looks like it has been, I think 3 games is enough of a sample size for Mitch Trubisky to get benched already. I believe a lot of Steelers fans are calling for Kenny Pickett already. Some people are questioning Matt Canada. I really wouldn't. I like Matt Canada, and I think they can get it going eventually, but
yeah, week 4 was my projection for when Kenny Pickett takes the reins. Like you said, I think that would be the perfect time. And I think it's going to happen regardless if they get the win or not. Because I think that if they do get the win on Thursday, which I think they're going to, I picked them, it's still going to come off the back of the defense. And you're still going to see the offense kind of struggle against that Cleveland defense. And I think it just is for the best. I am the biggest proponent of no bridge quarterbacks, because you draft a guy to be a franchise guy, you get him the reps, you get him the experience any way you can. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that the offensive line is improving little by little. It might not seem like it, and they're gonna go up against another very difficult matchup on Thursday. Granted, Jatavian Clowney will not be playing. He is already ruled out. Kevin Stefanski has ruled him out, along with Chase Winovich. So that's good for the Steelers' offensive line, that they really only are going to have to deal with Myles Garrett. But I think they are getting a little bit better every week. Najee, 15 carries, 49 yards, 5 catches, 40 yards, all 6 targets here. Damien Harris was very good on the ground. And then Nelson Aguilar made just a crazy good catch over the shoulder. I don't really remember who was guarding him, but yeah, 6 catches, 110 yards, touchdown on 6 targets for Aguilar. Jacoby Myers, also a very good game. 9 catches, 95 yards, 13 touchdowns. Mr. Reliable for them. Freiermuth scored. Deontay Johnson had 10 targets there. And defensively, I'm going to go with Patriots linebacker Matthew Judon, 4 tackles, a solo sack, tackle for loss, pass deflection, and a QB hit. Patriots -3 pushed, under 40 hit. Giants over the Panthers 19-16, and it's just like, bro, the Panthers just can't get the close wins right now. And it's just back-to-back weeks of losing by a field goal. And unfortunately, I think it's going to lead to Matt Rule being gone soon. Because they're not – I mean, yeah, Baker's stat line is not very good. But I mean, Christian McCaffrey finally returned to a 100-yard game in this one. 15 carries, 102 yards. He had 4 catches for 26 yards on 5 targets. Him and Saquon, it was kind of like a running back battle because the quarterbacks weren't that great. Daniel Jones was pretty decent, 176, 64.7% on touchdown, 10 carries, 21 yards. But yeah, I mean, the Panthers really got it done with McCaffrey. DJ Moore caught a touchdown, and they did it with defense. But again, they came up short with another 50-plus yard field goal loss.
Yeah, I think it's time for both parties, Matt Rule and the Panthers, to just kind of part ways. And I'm not even that big of a fan of firing in the middle of the season or this early into the season, but I think that the Panthers just have to understand that they're just not there, as a team yet at the quarterback position. And I think you just need to, have as many guys in the pre-existing coaching staff be able to put their name out there, put their mark a little bit, and kind of a trial run to see what you do have, what you can retain for next year. And then you go out and get another guy. There's going to be some really good openings in college football, and Matt Rule's going to be one of the most highly touted candidates for those roles because of how he was able to build up that Baylor program. So I think it's just time for both sides to just have a clean split.
Baylor and Temple, by the way.
Yep.
Now Temple has sunk into the abyss of college football badness.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only issue I have with Matt Rule being fired right now, I don't remember who our defensive coordinator is, but I would have to think that the interim head coach would fall to Ben McAdoo, which I would not really be a fan of. He already has enough on his plate calling the offense, trying to get Baker Mayfield up to speed. So my only hesitancy with that. Shout out to Daniel Bellinger, scoring his first career touchdown in this game. 1 catch, 16 yards and a touchdown on his only target. Weirdly enough, Richie James was the Giants' leading receiver in this game, 5 for 51 on 6 targets. And then a lot of good defensive performances in this one. I am going to go on the losing side, though. How about Brian Burns, defensive end for the Panthers? 4 tackles, all of them solos. He had 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 4 QB hits. He's probably one of the hottest defensive ends right now because he had a very good game against Cleveland week 1 as well. Obviously, a lot of blame-ish on him for getting the personal foul, roughing the passer, hitting Jacoby Brissett high, leading to the game-winning field goal. But again, he's having a very good season through 2 games. Giants +1 cover under 43.5.
All right, my man. I'm going to hop off. I'll let you finish up.
Sir.
I'll talk to you later.
Jets crazy comeback win over the Browns, 31-30. Joe Flacco, man, why couldn't you do this last week, bro? I thought that we had something last week. You had motivation against the Ravens. Couldn't get it done, however. So you come back from a mile down, 30-17 with like a minute 55 left. They get the onside kick at the end, go down, throw a game-winning touchdown to Garrett Wilson. But Joe Flacco, 59.1%, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns. Also had a fumble. Jacoby Brissett, uber efficient, 81.5% completion, 229 touchdown. Pick, 6 carries, 43 yards. Nick Chubb was crazy good in this one. 17 carries, 87 yards. He scored 3 touchdowns, 3 catches for 26 yards as well. Breece Hall, your leading rusher for the Jets. And then Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper, both having great games, 100-yard performances. The rookie Wilson for the Jets, 8 catches, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns on 14 targets. And then what I try to tell y'all, we all picked the Browns, but you got to throw to Amari to have a chance to win the game. And Jacoby Brissett listened, I guess. 9 catches, 101 yards, a touchdown on 10 targets for Amari in this one. Corey Davis also 2 catches, 83 yards, a touchdown on 4 targets. Defensively, I'm going to go with linebacker Anthony Walker Jr. for the Browns. 4 tackles, 3 solos, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 pass deflections for him. Jets cover +6, over 38.5, easily 61 in this one. Lions getting the win 36-27 over the Commanders. They were up 22-0 to start the game. Carson Wentz was great, though, again. So was Jared Goff. I mean, the quarterback play was crazy good, weirdly, for who we have as the 2 quarterbacks here. But Wentz, 65.2%, 337, 3 touchdowns and a pick, 2 carries, 23 yards. Jared Goff, 58.8%, 256. He threw 4 touchdowns in this game. DeAndre Swift didn't touch the ball a lot. I believe he was dealing with a little bit of an injury issue. Jamal Williams got the most carries, but Swift led the way yards wise on the ground. Not much rushing game for Washington. Antonio Gibson struggled in that category. 14 carries, 28 yards, and a touchdown, 2 catches, 13 yards there. Amon-Ra St. Brown has started the season just very good. 9 catches, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns, 12 targets, 2 carries, 68 yards. He is the number 1 receiver established definitely for the Lions. Jahan Dotson, all that he done in his rookie year to start is scored 3 touchdowns in 2 games, 4 receptions, 59 yards, a touchdown on 5 targets. Logan Thomas scored, and a lot of great defensive performance in this game. But you have to go with the number 2 overall pick this past year. Defensive end Aiden Hutchinson for the Lions, 6 tackles, 5 solos. He had a hat trick of sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and also 3 QB hits as well. Lions were a pick 'em, so they covered over 48 easily. Bucks 20-10 over the Saints. Yeah, Jameis unfortunately looked like his old self. 62.5%, 236 touchdown, but he threw 3 picks. The Saints turned it over 4 times in 9 plays in the second half. It was not very good on offense for them. Brady wasn't that great either. 190, a touchdown and a fumble on 52.9% completion. But the turnovers really set the Bucks up in good field position, and they took advantage, scoring 17 in the second half after being a 3-3 game at halftime. Michael Thomas, another good game for him, 6 for 65, a touchdown on 9 targets. Olave, 5 for 80 on 13 targets and a fumble. Mike Evans got ejected in this game. So did corner Marshawn Lattimore. Evans officially suspended for 1 game. He is appealing, though, however. And then who do you pick defensively? I'm going to go with linebacker Shaquille Barrett. 5 tackles, all of them solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles lost, 3 QB hits. But I also have to shout out safety Mike Edwards for the Bucks as well. 3 tackles, a pass deflection, and a 68-yard pick 6. Bucks cover -2.5, under 43.5. Jags 24-0 shutout over the Colts. Colts fall to 0-1-1 on the season. Trevor Lawrence was great, 83.3%, 235, 2 touchdowns, 3 carries, 11 yards. Matt Ryan was the opposite. He was struggling, 53.3%, 195, 3 picks for Ryan on the day. James Robinson led the backfield in carries. Travis Etienne has not gotten the amount of touches that fantasy owners want anyways. 23 carries for Robinson, 64 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 catches, 14 yards here. Jonathan Taylor only got the ball 10 times if we count his 9-yard catch, but only 9 carries for Taylor, 54 yards. That's not what fantasy owners want to see. Ashton Dulin was your leading receiver in the game, 5 catches, 79 yards on 7 targets, but Christian Kirk was really the more notable day. 6 catches, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns on 6 targets. Defensively, I think I'm going to go with safety Rayshawn Jenkins for the Jags. 3 tackles, 2 solos, 4 pass deflections, and a pick off of Matt Ryan. Jags +3 covered, under 43.5 easily. Dolphins beat the Ravens 42-38 in a crazy game. A lot of offense. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa 72%, 36 of 50, 469 and 6 touchdowns. Did throw 2 interceptions. Lamar Jackson also a great day, 72.4%, 318, 3 touchdowns, 9 carries, 119 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. Other than Lamar, not much going on the ground for either team. Mostert with 51 yards as your leading ball carrier for Miami. Justice Hill, 16 yards is the leading non-quarterback for the Ravens. Receiving wise, 400-yard days here. Wide receiver Tyreek Hill, 11 catches, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, 13 targets for him. Wide receiver Jalen Waddle, just as good, 11 receptions, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. Man had 19 targets, y'all. Just crazy. Like Devontae Adams, week 1, 17 targets. Wide receiver Rashad Bateman, also 100 yards, 4 receptions, 108 yards, a touchdown on 7 targets. Tight end Mark Andrews, 9 catches, 104 yards, a touchdown on 11 targets. Also at the shout-out, wide receiver Devin Duvernay for the Ravens, 2 receptions, 42 yards on 2 targets. Opened the game with a 103-yard kickoff return touchdown. Mike Gesicki scored a touchdown for the Dolphins. Demarcus Robinson scored 1 for the Ravens. And River Craycraft scored a receiving touchdown for Miami as well. Defensively, I'm going to go with Ravens safety Marcus Williams, 10 tackles, 7 of them solo, 2 pass deflections, and 2 picks. Dolphins plus 3.5 covered over 43.5 easily. Rams 31-27 over the Falcons, and the Falcons almost got by their 28-3 first. They were down 28-3, came almost all the way back. Jalen Ramsey picking Marcus Mariota to seal the game. Stafford, though, 75%, 272, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Mariota, 196, 65.4%, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 6 carries, 16 yards, and a fumble. Darrell Henderson, your leading rusher in the game, 10 carries, 47 yards, and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp, what's new? 100-yard game for him. 11 receptions, 108 yards, 2 touchdowns, 14 targets, and a fumble. Drake London had a great day. 8 catches, 60 yards, a touchdown on 12 targets. Allen Robinson scored his first touchdown as a Ram. And then defensively, probably going to go with corner Kobe Durant, 2 tackles, a solo, a sack, tackle for loss, pass deflection, QB hit, and a pick. Also, though, have to shout out linebacker Lorenzo Carter for the Falcons. 2 tackles, a solo, a tackle for loss, and a 26-yard blocked punt return for a touchdown. The Falcons covered plus 10 over 46 easily. Niners blowing out the Seahawks 27-7. Geno Smith, 80%, 197 and a pick. Trey Lance goes down, broken ankle in this one. Jimmy Garoppolo looks great, 61.9%, 154 yards, touchdown, and a rushing touchdown as well. Jeff Wilson Jr. filling in for Elijah Mitchell, who's on IR, 18 carries, 84 yards, 2 catches, 19 yards. Good day for him. Kyle Juszczyk scored a touchdown. Tyler Lockett, 100-yard day for him, 9 catches, 107 yards, and 11 targets. And defensively, corner Mike Jackson, have to shout out him, 6 tackles, 5 solos, and an 86-yard blocked field goal return for a touchdown for the Seahawks, only touchdown of the day. And defensive end Nick Bosa, though, is my actual defensive player of the game, 4 tackles, all of them solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles lost, 5 QB hits for Bosa. Niners covered minus 8.5, under 39.5. Cowboys, a shocker, 20-17 win over the Bengals in Dallas. Cooper Rush was pretty good, 61.3%, 235, a touchdown. Joe Burrow struggled, offensive line still bad, 66.7%, 199, a touchdown, 4 carries, 26 yards. Mixon led the way rushing, 19 carries, 57 yards, 3 catches, 26 yards for the Bengals. Pollard scored a touchdown, also good receiving day, 4 catches, 55 yards on 7 targets for him. Noah Brown led the game in receiving, 5 catches, 91 yards, touchdown on 5 targets. CeeDee Lamb, 11 targets, and T. Higgins had 10 for the Bengals. Defensive player of the game, I'm going to have to go with linebacker Micah Parsons. Just been crazy good. 4 tackles, all of them solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 5 QB hits. Broncos 16-9. The Cowboys +7 covered, under 42 hits. Broncos 16-9 over the Texans. Not good for Denver. The offense is still struggling. 45.2% completion for Russell Wilson, 219, touchdown and a pick. Davis Mills 50% completion, 177 yards, no touchdowns on the day. Javonte Williams of the game in rushing, 15 carries, 75 yards, 1 catch for 10 yards. Cortland Sutton, great day for him, 7 catches, 122 yards on 11 targets. Brandon Cooks had 10 targets for the Broncos. Eric Saulbert, the only touchdown in the game. Defensively, I think I'm going to go with defensive end Rasheem Green for the Texans. 5 tackles, 3 solos, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, and 2 QB hits. Texans cover +10, under 45.5 easily. Cardinals, crazy win for them in overtime, 29-23 over the surprising 0-2 Raiders. Kyler Murray, what a comeback. They were down 23-0, came all the way back, 63.3%, 277, 1 touchdown, a pick, 5 carries, 28 yards, a touchdown, and a crazy 2-point conversion to get within 1 score on the game. Derek Carr, 64.1%, 252, 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs led the game in rushing, 19 carries, 69 yards, 1 catch for 12 yards. Zach Ertz was your leading receiver, 8 catches, 75 yards on 11 targets. Marquise Brown had 11 targets. Hunter Renfrow had 10 targets, and a crucial fumble that lost the game for the Raiders in overtime. 7 catches, 59 yards on 10 targets, and a fumble for Renfrow. Dort scored. Waller scored. Adams, very low day for him. 2 catches, 12 yards, a touchdown on 7 targets. And defensively, it has to be Byron Murphy Jr., corner for the Cardinals. 1 tackle. It was a solo and a 59-yard fumble return for a touchdown to win the game in OT. Cardinals +5.5 covered, over under 52 pushed. Sunday Night Football, Packers rolling over the Bears 27-10. Aaron Rodgers was great, 76%, 234, 2 touchdowns, 5 carries, 10 yards, and a fumble. Justin Fields looked like crap because he is not very good, y'all. Only threw it 11 times. They're not trusting him. They don't trust him. 63.6%, 70 yards and a pick, 8 carries, 20 yards, and a touchdown for Fields. The running game was going crazy for both teams, though. Aaron Jones, 15 carries, 132 yards, a touchdown, 3 receptions, 38 yards, and another touchdown there. David Montgomery for the Bears, 15 carries, 122 yards, 2 catches for 14 yards. Sammy Watkins had a very good night for the Packers. 3 catches, 93 yards on 4 targets. And Lazard returned for Green Bay and scored a touchdown. Great to see that. Elton Jenkins, right tackle, was a very key part of making Aaron feel comfortable in the pocket. Defensively, I'm going to go with linebacker Preston Smith for the Packers. 7 tackles, 4 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 3 QB hits. Travis Gibson, linebacker for the Bears, also a very good night. 4 tackles, 2 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 3 QB hits. Packers cover -10.5, under 42. NCAA news: Herm Edwards has been fired from Arizona State after 4+ seasons. 26-20 record. I was shocked that Herm even was able to keep his job through the scandal that they had prior to the season. So he is officially out. I believe Arizona State has started 1-2. Some suspensions being handed down today. I already said about Bucs wide receiver Mike Evans suspended 1 game for his altercation with Saints corner Marcus Lattimore. But a bigger one, Chiefs linebacker Willie Gay. He has been suspended for the next 4 games for violating the personal conduct policy. Big loss for the Chiefs defense. We'll have to see how they hold up without him the next month. Injuries. So a couple here for the Broncos. Wide receiver Jerry Jeudy and corner Pat Surtain II. They are both day-to-day. Judy dealing with a chest/sternum injury, and Surtain with a shoulder. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott, he officially has a timetable 4 to 6 weeks after his thumb surgery on Monday of last week. So 4 to 6 weeks, we'll see how soon he can get back. Also with Dallas, tight end Dalton Schultz, he has a PCL issue, similar to what the one that Ezekiel Elliott had last year that limited him and his production down the stretch for Dallas. 49ers quarterback Trey Lance, I said he broke his ankle. He is out for the season, most likely. Broke his fibula and had ligament damage. So there was 2 different fractures there for Niners quarterback Trey Lance. Luckily for them, they have quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. Cardinals running back James Conner, he has an ankle injury, but Coach Cliff Kingsbury said it is not going to be long-term for him. So good news for Conner there. And ins and outs for Thursday. Browns ruled out defensive end Jadeveon Clowney with an ankle injury. Defensive end Chase Winovich with a hamstring, and tight end Jesse James. They are all out on Thursday. Out tonight is Bills wide receiver Gabe Davis with an ankle, I believe. Or with a hamstring. I can't remember. And then the Niners locking up a couple players to extensions, signing punter Mitch Wishnowsky to a 4-year, $13 million extension through 2026, and linebacker Dre Greenlaw to a 2-year, $19 million extension with $10 million guaranteed. So our pick standings, yep. No one was perfect last week. Logan, Mark, and I, we all went 1-1. We got the Chiefs right. Everyone lost on the Broncos, and then Peter lost also on the Chargers. So Peter falls to 1-2. Mark is also 1-2, and Logan and I, we are sticking at the top at 2-1. So we have a doubleheader tonight, starting in about 30 minutes, I believe, is the first game. I'd have to check on that, but Titans at the Bills. Bills 10-point favorites here in Buffalo. So yeah, we are all on the Bills. They looked fantastic against the Rams week 1. Have a long delay to get all the way to Monday night from Thursday. So yeah, I think the Bills are going to roll. I hate that Gabe Davis is out, limits my fantasy potential, but it's okay. Josh Allen will get it done here. Over under is 47.5. I'm on the under. I have a play on that one already. And yes, 7:15 Eastern, ESPN and ESPN2. The second game of the doubleheader, Vikings at the Eagles. Peter is lone wolfing Kirk Cousins in prime time. That's a bold strategy, Cotton, and we'll have to see how it works out for him. But yeah, we are all on the Eagles. Mark, Logan, and I. Look, Jalen Hurts looked fantastic. The offense is going to be great. The defense needs to step up in this game. It's the home opener for Philly. I think the crowd's going to be rocking. They love playing against the Vikings. Did it both times. They have went to the Super Bowl since in the last 2 times they've been to the Super Bowl. They played the Vikings in the playoffs and in the NFC Championship game. So very excited to witness this game and watch Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown for the second week in a row. Love Eagles -2.5. Lock that one in. Over under is 49. I'm gonna say over. Not sure what the Eagles defense is going to give us tonight, so I think they might have to win it in another shootout like they did last week in Detroit. That one is 8:30 p.m. on ABC and ESPN Plus. Peter also is lone wolfing the Cleveland Browns on Thursday. Steelers at the Browns. Browns getting 3.5 points at home. Look, the Steelers defense is still very good. They held the Patriots to 17 points. Obviously, Patriots not a very good offense, but you can see that they still are a solid defense. So I think they're going to get it done, even in the hostile dog pound. Jacoby Brissett, I think they're going to be able to get some pressure on him and affect him. Cameron Hayward, I'm looking at you guy to get some pressure inside. And then I'm looking for the Steelers offense to be able to run the ball. It's going to be another tough test against Myles Garrett. Like I said, though, Clowney, Winovich, both out. So it limits the amount of quality edge defenders that they're going to have to deal with. You can slide your protection to Garrett almost every time, I think, and try to limit him if you can. Over-under is 40.5, though, and I am going to go under. I think neither offense I don't think is that great, but have to stop Nick Chubb if you're the Steelers defense. That one is at 8:15 on Prime Video on Thursday. Next week we will be back here on Monday. Next Monday we'll be talking NCAA and NFL game recaps. And then we'll look ahead to the Monday Night Football matchup. The Cowboys in East Rutherford to play the Giants, and the Dolphins heading to Cincinnati for a big AFC matchup to kick off Week 4. As always, don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, at FAA_bets on Twitter. We're trying to get back on track tonight, going 2-6 so far to start the season. I'm going to try to get it back tonight, though. And then FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Thank you all for